Hello, it's my pleasure to host Ms. Susan J Mumford for our Art Inception talks. Susan is our first international guest, so I would like to thank you especially for your time and I really appreciate that you intended to participate. Art Inception Georgia is a new platform for artists that aims to connect Georgian emerging artists with international audience. So Susan, I think that you are quite experienced in this field. So your experience and knowledge will be very helpful for us, and thankful for sharing that. At first, I would like to introduce you to Georgian audience. You are entrepreneur, writer, a coach and motivation speaker, but the most I would like to highlight is like your amazing project with very smart name, Be Smart About Art. Could you tell us what's the project, what do you aim to achieve, and why did you decide to make project like this?
Okay, so hello everyone, and it's a real pleasure to be here, and I want to say congratulations on Art Inception as well. So Be Smart About Art was founded in early 2012. So here we are at the time of recording, 2021, that makes it 9 years old. And this project is a professional development platform, which essentially it exists to provide the support, the knowledge, the inspiration for artists, gallerists, and other creative professionals, primarily people who run their own businesses in the art world. It's there to help them understand how to make a living in a changing world. And the background for Be Smart About Art is that I have been in the art market myself, well now at the time of speaking, for 20 years. And I previously was an art dealer, I ran a gallery, and I was also an art advisor that was working in London, in England. And over the years, I realized that this industry was changing very quickly, and with interruptions from social media, which we're all obviously now today very familiar with, and seeing the increase in direct engagement from collectors to artists, people didn't understand best practices anymore. They weren't quite sure how to operate. What are the do's and don't do's of the art world? And I could see basically people were ready for change. And so I started mentoring and coaching professionals in 2011. And then in 2012, launched the membership program. We also launched a variety of workshops. And today it's a platform that is on Patreon and is also patreon.com/Be Smart About Art. And we also have a website, and we bring together the members, and essentially everyone works with one another to move their careers forward.
Yeah, and what did the experience show you? How these artists engage with each other? How Be Smart About Art change the artist's career?
Gives people a lot of confidence in terms of understanding that they're not alone. They realize that the issues that they face are issues that others face. They get ideas from each other. They do learn options for how to do their social media, how to sell online, how to get representation from galleries if that's what they want. A lot of it is hearing from other people so that they know that actually there is not necessarily one right path for every single person. You have options. And I think as creative practitioners, it's really important that through your marketing and your communications that you are true to yourself. And it means that even if, this is what people are supposed to do going down this path, actually, maybe if you're creative, like the photographer in New York, who I was mentoring many years ago, I said, don't approach galleries just by getting in touch with galleries in Chelsea. Instead, she had done these beautiful photographs of tattoos. I said, go and put your works of art into a tattoo parlor where you've already got contacts, and get your early subscribers and followers that way. So you can be really creative and actually have impact in different ways.
And I think it's very insightful what you're discussing now, that art is not only about creation, it's also about management.
Definitely. And a lot of people, in fact, interestingly, when I see artists getting on top of their stock management or their inventory, it actually provides a lot of confidence. So through putting in place those management systems of what their assets are, what they have available to sell. Suddenly they feel on top of things, and then they're able to actually be more successful in selling. And I really think that artists are increasingly in need of using customer relationship management platforms, CRM platforms. That's something that we previously thought of larger businesses using. I think in today's world, using management makes a lot of sense.
Agree. Susan, if we talk about nowadays and about future, how COVID pandemic changed the art market? What are your observations?
So what's happened is that basically businesses that were already online are the ones that were able to adapt the fastest, and that were able to therefore be the most successful in the early days. What we're going to see in the long term is not the extreme difference that we see at the moment. So we went from almost purely a face-to-face art world to an almost purely online art world. What we're going to see in the future is a hybrid between having in real life exhibitions, in real life studio visits, as well as online accessibility for shows, for studio visits, for just everything. And actually, I'm beginning to hear some galleries talking about how they're concerned, and I had anticipated this, that they're now going to have more work on their plates. So it actually means that really well-built technology solutions that integrate platforms that avoid data duplication will be increasingly important, because they're not only going to be staging their in real life exhibitions, they're also going to be making access available online, which obviously is amazing because it means you can access people from around the world.
Agree. That's my next question. Does this change made any rooms for emerging artists from small countries like Georgia? Georgia is really tiny country.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was originally raised in the state of Arkansas in the USA. And I remember being a teenager and thinking that New York City, which was several thousand miles away, was just practically, to my mind, it was a whole universe away. And I thought, why does everyone have to go to New York to be successful? But actually in today's world, you really can be based anywhere. And one thing that's fascinating is that when you talk about art, depending on what type of art somebody makes, depending on the color or the vibrancy or the style, it might be that what somebody makes just naturally, because that's what they love making, is actually more attractive to some people in different countries. And a good example of that is that being that I'm based today in England, I come across some English artists whose colors are too bright for a lot of British people. They just think, oh, it's a little bit too much. But they might attract buyers in Australia or in the United States or elsewhere. So what we're really seeing is people being able to connect with people who love art because for whatever reason their interests match. So absolutely. And in today's world, you can live anywhere, be anywhere. I think what's important is that you can access the internet to be able to get in front of people.
And I think that this change eventually made the art market more democratic. Yeah, how should I say that?
Democratized. I agree with you.
Yeah, because even from Tbilisi, you can attend international art fairs, and before for this you needed budget, traveling, accommodation costs, and now you can do it from here without with small budget, I think. Yeah, so I think that's a big and important change for small countries like Georgia, and we are advocating this very actively, that let's use this opportunity. Susan, could you share your, I don't like advices, but your experience and your professional advice to Georgian artists? How could they reach international art market, and how to plan their success, their international career?
So the very first thing is to have your art itself really resolved. And it's not to say you ever finish that, But what I typically see is that artists spend maybe the first 10 years, and I know that that can sound like a long time, really working out what it is that they do. Now, it's not to say that they are using one medium. So it's not to say that they're limiting themselves to painting or to sculpture, but that there's maybe what you call a sensibility, that all of their work kind of sits underneath. So what that means is that when somebody comes across their work, that you can see that it all comes together as being that artist's work. And actually, when I talk about different mediums, we might also consider the fact that many artists express themselves in different types of art forms. So somebody might do painting and then they also might do poetry. To be true to the creative self, will usually have a diversification of different modes of expression. It's not going to be just like this, which many artists have been told over time that they need to do. It's not true. I'm a creative person myself. I get it. To be true to ourselves, it's really important that we're able to express ourselves, but finding that way of bringing that all together. So the first thing is actually having your art practice so that it makes sense altogether. If it's kind of scattergun approach, you look like you're a beginner probably because you are a beginner. The second thing is being able to make sense of that in terms of how you talk about your practice and how you write about your practice. If you don't have an understanding of what you do yourself, how is anybody else going to be able to understand what you do? And so people often think that things like an elevator pitch, or what I like to call the art world pitch, that's all marketing and mumbo jumbo, but actually it feeds back into creative practice when you clarify that to yourself. So when you're able to have a cohesive body of work, is what we might say, when you're able to talk about your works that others can understand it, you're actually already well on the way to being able to reach audiences. And the other big thing that I hear people talk about a lot, even though this sounds really simple, it's worth saying, which is that you have really good quality photographs of the work to share. And ideally, when we're talking about presenting art online, you don't only have what you might call the professional photograph of a work of art, which is going to be like perfectly framed and there it is, but you also have additional to that context photographs. It really brings the piece to life. And we increasingly see this, and there are loads of applications that you can use for taking your sculpture or your painting or whatever it is and placing it into what looks to be a real life setting with a shadow underneath. If you're not really taking the photographs in situ, that's really what makes pieces come to life, and it makes them all the more real. So when we're talking about reaching international audiences, really think about the quality of imagery and having not only the professional but also the context photograph.
Thank you. It's very interesting. Susan, I wanted to ask you, I have read that the demand on artwork during the pandemic has increased. Yeah, even like collectors are bored and they are buying art actively. I had a talk with very interesting Georgian artist here, and he said that it's quite difficult to buy materials now because everyone started to paint. So like it's a very big competition now on the market. How could we, like Georgian artists, eventually reach these bored collectors or buyers? Are there any advice or trick or like good experience that we can use?
Well, a lot of it is a matter of finding ways of getting in front of them. And if you're thinking about, say, social media, at the time of recording, Instagram is the platform for the art world. And it's not only a marketing platform, it's what I call a selling platform. And I'm not referring to the fact that Instagram enables you to connect your shop, your online shop, to Instagram. I mean, people will post an image and somebody will see it and they'll make a little comment. Then you move over to direct message, and then you move from direct message to a completely different communication platform and potentially sell work or even strike up relationships with galleries. So in order to do that, one of the best ways to get in front of collectors is to look at how you're using hashtags. And there are two different types of hashtags. They're branded and community hashtags. So branded might be your own name, or it might be a body of work that you're pursuing, or it could be maybe an event that you're taking part in. And community hashtags is going to be, let's look at really specific genres of art. Let's look at artists from a certain area. That will be that's community hashtag, because it's people who are interested in that area and artists in that area. So it's really drilling down and looking at the use of these hashtags, because that's actually something that's going to help collectors notice your work, and then getting onto some of the big platforms where the collectors are looking as well. You know, you've got various online transactional art marketplaces, and one thing that we'll see, based on what we were saying a few minutes ago about having a combination in real life and online art market, is that I anticipate that we'll see more art fairs having online elements, and those are very much so seen to be vetted or curated, in the sense of not just anybody can show, you have to have been selected. So look at those opportunities and apply to them. Look at things like art prizes and competitions. Be selective, and by getting onto the platforms that collectors are visiting, then you have the chance of actually getting in front of them.
Thank you so much. It's very insightful, and I'm happy that this is what we as an Art Inception are advocating actively, that we every day post content about international grants, competitions, residencies, in order to show that it's not far from us. We also could be part of these international events, and let's try. Maybe we will get 5 no's, but at the 6th, 7th time we will be successful. Yeah. So I'm really happy that you as an expert are sharing this with us. And the last question comes to, it's still about art market and about us as an, it's not like that we are a small country. I see that now we have the opportunity to reach this international market. So it's like a really big possibility for us. Is there any question or any idea you want to share us, which I did not ask? So feel free to share your ideas or notes or advices to us.
Well, I think actually the thing that really stands out to me is the fact that you have set up what is a community. And a number of years ago, we did a survey with Be Smart About Art. And what we were doing is we were looking at what knocks confidence and what boosts confidence for artists. And actually what we found in doing this survey, we weren't looking for this, but it was absolutely incredible, was that the core to success, and it was kind of, when do you feel great? If you've had a knock, such as being rejected for an art prize, how can you overcome that? The key to success was actually being part of professional community. Mm-hmm. And it was also things like looking after your health, getting enough exercise, eating well, resting well, this kind of thing. But in terms of purely looking at professional life, whether you're having internal knocks on your confidence, internal knocks on your success, external knocks, what have you. So internal being things that are going around your head. You might be comparing yourself to other people, and the external being those pieces of rejection, which are just part of putting yourself out in the world. By having the community to help you stand up for yourself, to have that community to believe in you being the best you that you have within you, it means that you're far more likely to achieve it, and you're far more likely to keep on getting up again and again in order to reach your goals and to hopefully have some fun on the way. So what I discovered when we conducted that survey was that I have been setting up community since I was a child in small town America, since I was a kid. And I suddenly realized community is not just a nice to have. When you're talking about professional life, it's absolutely essential. So purely by being part of this conversation today, I know that your listeners are people who are part of your community, and so they're already on the right step. And what you need to do when you have that professional community is reach out to them when you need it. That's key. So I'm going to remind everyone who needs to reach out to please do so.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and this inspirational talk. I'm truly honored to host you, because these experts like this gives us inspiration and motivation to continue our job and do it well. Thank you so much. And I do hope that I will host you one day here in Tbilisi and you will visit us.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and all the best to everyone. Keep to the creativity. That's the foundation of what everyone does.